Hi, everybody, and welcome to Soft Science for Sleep, melatonin's secret life in your eyes and skin. You're standing in the glow of a quiet evening outside, maybe, or just leaning against a windowsill. You don't notice it at first, but the light has changed. The hard angles of sunlight have melted into a soft, silvery glaze. Somewhere between a late dinner and brushing your teeth, your skin, yes, your skin is already preparing to tuck you in. Tiny receptors in your outermost layers are whispering to each other, "It's time." That's right. Before your brain even bothers sending out a bedtime memo, your skin may already be producing melatonin, nature's sweet, sleepy signal. The stuff we love to buy in chewable strawberry-flavored tablets, your body's been making it this whole time. Subtly, invisibly, and strangely enough across your whole surface or area. You probably won't survive this night without at least some melatonin. Okay, not instantly fatal, but chronically. Melatonin helps regulate your immune system, reduce oxidative stress, and coax your brain into healthy sleep cycles. No pressure, little hormone. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop your location and local time in the comments. It's one of my favorite things to see. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge into the calm dark like a soft detective, not Sherlock II caffeinated, more like the dreamy version who wears silk pajamas and solves mysteries by accident. The first clue? That peculiar glow in the air when the sun finally dips and streetlights haven't yet flickered on. Your skin notices this shift before you do. It doesn't just feel light, it interprets it. That sun exposure from earlier? It wasn't just a tan in the making, it was calibration. An entire network of photoreceptors, especially in your face and hands, was busy absorbing signals to sync your inner clocks. Historians still argue whether ancient cultures truly understood how light controlled our bodies, but many of them acted like they did. The Greeks worshipped Helios, the sun god, with morning rituals involving oil massages, possibly the earliest SPF meets circadian reset routine. In an Ayurvedic tradition, early sun exposure on bare skin was believed to digest toxins, energetically quaint phrasing, but maybe not entirely off. Back to modern you, though, worn out, yawning, and unknowingly emitting just the right cocktail of sleepy molecules. As night rolls in, melatonin trickles out. Your pineal gland might be the celebrity producer, but your skin is like the indie artist releasing an underrated EP. It makes its own melatonin, independent of your brain, and no, it doesn't ask for permission. In fact, some scientists believe your skin's melatonin is more abundant than what your brain produces. That's wild. It's as if your epidermis decided, hey, if no one else is going to handle nighttime repairs and hormonal nuance, I guess I will. And it doesn't just help you sleep. Melatonin in the skin acts as a tiny guardian against damage. By day, it shields you from ultraviolet radiation. Yes, even while you scroll TikTok in the sun. By night, it switches into regeneration mode, supporting cellular repair, fighting oxidative stress, and yes, helping to fade that pimple you poked too hard yesterday. Quirky fact for you, salamanders, jellyfish, and certain sea creatures also produce melatonin, but they don't sleep the way we do. Some researchers wonder if melatonin originally evolved not for sleep, but as an antioxidant, a protector from harsh environmental changes like UV exposure. Sleep may have been a happy side effect. And you laying there with your cheek pressed to a cold pillow are the lucky benefactor of millions of years of evolution that decided sleepy equals safe. Now here's the kicker. Your skin doesn't just absorb cues from light. It remembers them, like a polite, silent assistant keeping notes on when you last walked outdoors, what kind of light hit your arms, and how long you sat under fluorescence at your desk. When you finally draw the curtains and sink into bed, your body is already an hour into its nightly transition. Cortisol's declining, temperatures dropping, and melatonin is pouring in like warm ink through your bloodstream. But your skin, it's already one step ahead. It saw the sunset. It's also sending quiet messages back to your brain through something called neuroimmunocutaneous signaling, which, yes, sounds like a villain in a Marvel movie. Your skin communicates stress, inflammation, and even circadian cues straight to the nervous system. Your body listens, adjusting its internal rhythm based on what the skin reports. It's like your skin is whispering she's winding down. Drop the temperature. Cue the dreams. Fun sidebar. In 1920s France, there was a brief trend of moonbathing for health. Upper-class Parisians would recline under the full moon, believing it to be calming, even curative. Scientists at the time dismissed it as fanciful, but today some researchers are re-examining the calming effects of nighttime light exposure, particularly its influence on melatonin rhythms through the skin. So next time you're out walking just after dusk, or even stepping into a softly lit room, know this: your skin is awake. It's registering the hues, the dimming spectrum, the absence of blue light. It's already brewing the good stuff, preparing your body for a long descent into sleep. You thought sleep began in the brain. Turns out it starts with a whisper on your cheek. You blink slowly, not out of tiredness just yet, but because your eyes are doing their own kind of subtle math. Right behind your pupils, past the cornea and lens, your retina is on full alert, not in a stressed way, more like a sleepy librarian keeping track of who's still in the building. Nestled within that retina are specialized photoreceptor cells, rods and cones, sure, but also a third player you probably didn't meet in high school biology: the intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, or iPRGCs. They sound like a weird sci-fi faction, but these cells are quietly ruling your entire circadian empire. Unlike rods and cones, which help you see in the traditional sense, iPRGCs don't care about images. They care about light itself. How much, what kind, and when. These cells feed light data straight to your brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus, your body's master clock, like some kind of secret courier pigeon. And guess what that master clock does with this info? It calls the pineal gland and says, hey, shut it down, it's bright out. As long as your eyes are getting light, especially bright blue light, from screens, overhead LEDs, or even your neighbor's porch lamp, melatonin production stays locked down. But the moment those levels drop, usually after sunset, your retina sends a sleepy green light. Your pineal gland finally gets permission to release melatonin into the bloodstream. You begin to feel heavy, calm, maybe just a little emotional during late-night cereal commercials. Historians still argue whether ancient Egyptian architecture was designed to optimize light exposure for health rituals, but many tombs and temples feature corridors that funnel sunlight in precise seasonal patterns. Could they have known about these hidden ocular light clocks? Probably not in molecular terms, but intuitively, perhaps. You, however, are living in a world of mixed signals. Your eyes are battling contradictory information all the time. You wake up to your phone screen. You work under cold white ceiling lights. You scroll TikTok until 2 a.m. while saying you're just winding down. Your iPRGCs are flailing. That's why melatonin often comes late, like a dinner guest who kept circling the block because you left every porch light on. But here's the twist. Melatonin doesn't just go from pineal gland into your bloodstream like a hormone on a lazy river. It also interacts with the eyes themselves. That's right, melatonin is produced in tiny amounts inside your eyes. Even your retinas have their own microdoses, as if to self-regulate. It's like your eyeballs brought their own sleepy snack pack. Some studies even suggest melatonin protects your eyes from oxidative stress, especially from prolonged exposure to UV and blue light. Your eyes, in a way, are quietly self-soothing, like putting on their own lavender-scented eye mask. Here's a slightly unsettling but fascinating fact. Astronauts on the International Space Station, where night and day cycle every 90 minutes, experience severe melatonin disruption. Their retinas never get a stable light-dark pattern. NASA has experimented with ambient lighting systems designed to mimic Earth's day-night rhythm just to keep their eyeballs from mutinying. And here you are, scrolling under a single 60-watt bulb like a rogue astronaut in your own apartment. And yet, your eyes try. Even when light sources confuse them, they still work tirelessly to figure out when to nudge your pineal gland into action. Imagine them now, blinking softly, catching the dimming glow of your bedside lamp. The photoreceptors are calming down, They're light-detecting molecules folding into rest mode. Your IPRGCs ease their signals. The courier pigeons fly slower. And then melatonin. It's like warm ink again, this time flowing from your pineal gland deep within your brain's center. Your blood carries it through your body in gentle pulses. But the eyes? They don't just send signals, they receive too. Melatonin binds to receptors in the retina, supporting vision health, reducing intraocular pressure, and lowering oxidative stress. It's like a built-in spa treatment for your eyeballs. Fringe science moment. In the 1970s, a tiny cluster of researchers proposed that the eyes could function as direct hormone feedback systems, almost endocrine organs themselves. It was dismissed at the time. Today, that idea is gaining new attention. Some even theorize your eyes and skin work together as a dual-entry sleep system, feeding data to your brain but also managing their own quiet chemical reactions locally. There's still debate. Some neuroscientists roll their eyes at this theory, ironically, insisting the pineal gland remains the central command. But others argue the evidence points to a more decentralized system, where your body handles sleep prep like a well-rehearsed jazz band. No conductor, just listening and reacting. So here you lie under your blanket, maybe with one eye slightly open for no reason. Even in darkness, your eyes aren't just passive. They are responding, adjusting, and relaxing. Light filters through your closed lids. The skin of your eyelids softens. Blood flow increases. A symphony of micro-adjustments unfolds. Meanwhile, outside your window, a street lamp hums. That single bulb might be enough to interrupt the whole show. But you've thought ahead. Maybe blackout curtains. Maybe a sleep mask. Maybe you finally stopped watching videos in bed. Or maybe not. Maybe you're still listening right now, squinting slightly at the glow of your screen. That's okay. Your eyes will forgive you. They always do. Somewhere deep in the soft architecture of your skin, tiny biological clocks are ticking. Not just metaphorical clocks, actual timekeeping systems, embedded in your cells, quietly syncing with the world around you. You don't feel them, you don't hear them, but they're there, in your elbows, your scalp, the tip of your nose. These are your peripheral clock's miniature circadian mechanisms scattered across your body, designed to help different tissues keep time. And your skin? It's one of the most expressive timekeepers you have. You might think your brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCN, is in charge of all this. It is sort of like a stern headmistress of an unruly boarding school. But your skin's clocks don't always follow orders. They can operate semi-independently, tracking day and night through their own observations, especially light, temperature, and even meal times. And here's the kicker. If your central clock falls out of sync, say, you're jet-lagged, or you stayed up too late binge-watching home makeover shows, your skin clocks might keep dancing to their own rhythm. It's like your body has a backup band that refuses to stop playing. Historians still argue whether the long-standing Chinese medicine idea of organ clocks, body parts being more active during specific hours, reflects true circadian knowledge. Some dismiss it as poetic metaphor. Others now see eerie parallels with modern findings on peripheral rhythms. You, curled up in bed, probably haven't thought much about your skin's internal calendar. But it's there and it responds to sunlight with startling precision. Specific genes in your skin turn on and off in predictable cycles, peaking in the late afternoon or winding down just before dawn. These are your clock genes names like PR1, BML1, and Cry2, but don't worry, there won't be a quiz. In daylight, these genes focus on defense, UV protection, cell repair, barrier fortification. But once darkness falls, your skin flips modes. It shifts into regeneration, stimulating collagen production, increasing blood flow, reducing inflammation. And at the center of that switch, you guessed it, melatonin. Your skin doesn't just wait for melatonin to show up, it manufactures its own. Yep, your epidermal cells contain the full toolkit to synthesize melatonin locally, even when the pineal gland is cut off from the action. It's like your skin said, fine, I'll do it myself. Here's a slightly odd detail. Researchers discovered that melatonin production in skin cells can be influenced by artificial lighting, even if it doesn't enter through the eyes. Think about that for a moment. Your arm resting under a bright kitchen bulb at midnight could be getting the wrong time signal. Your shoulder thinks it's 2 p.m. Meanwhile, your forehead, hidden under a hoodie, thinks it's almost dawn. This chaos matters. When your skin's clocks are out of sync with your brain's, you can end up with visible consequences. Dullness, inflammation, slower wound healing. Even acne can flare up when circadian harmony breaks down. But don't worry, you're not doomed to become a tired-looking constellation of broken clocks. Your body loves routine. It craves consistency, dim lights in the evening, regular meal times. A predictable wind down. These cues help reset your skin's clocks daily, pulling them gently back in line. Here's a fringe but fascinating tidbit. In Japan, some beauty clinics now offer circadian facial mapping, where they analyze your skin based on time of day hormone fluctuations. It's part wellness, part marketing, and 100% a sign that this idea of time-tuned skin is gaining traction. Meanwhile, back in your bed, your skin has begun its nightly symphony of recovery. Blood vessels dilate slightly, pulling more nutrients to the surface. Water loss increases. Yes, your skin dehydrates a bit at night, which is why that overpriced moisturizer on your nightstand actually matters. And all the while, melatonin works its magic not just as a sleepy hormone, but as a signal to shift cellular priorities. You're not just resting, you're repairing. And here's something poetic. Melatonin binds to receptors on your skin cells and tells them when to divide, when to pause, when to clean up internal messes. It's like a gentle manager coming in after hours, clipboard in hand, turning off fluorescent lights and telling everyone to clock out. Yet there's still much we don't know. Scientists debate whether peripheral clocks should always obey the central clock or whether we should treat them as partially autonomous. Some even theorize that for people with irregular schedules, night shift workers, new parents, insomniacs, it might be better to let peripheral clocks lead for a while. Your skin, in other words, might know what it's doing. So tonight, as you lie still and feel the soft pull of gravity in your limbs, remember this. Your skin is telling time, silently, persistently, lovingly. Even if you forget to check the clock, your skin isn't the only quiet storyteller of the night. Now, let's wander a bit deeper past the epidermis, beneath the blood vessels, beyond even the bones, and drift into the folds of your gut. Yes, your gut. It doesn't seem like the kind of place that would have anything to say about melatonin, but oh, how wrong you'd be. While you're settling into bed, your intestines are softly coiling and unknotting like slow sea creatures. And surprise, your gut is producing more melatonin than your brain ever could. That's not an exaggeration. Nearly 400 times more melatonin lives in your digestive tract than in your pineal gland. Most people never hear this part. Your gut is, in many ways, a hormonal greenhouse. And melatonin, it's not just a sleep signal. Here, it's an antioxidant, an inflammation buffer, a kind of molecular massage therapist for your digestive lining. It calms the spasms. It quiets the microbes. It lowers the volume of internal chatter. And yes, your gut microbes, the tiny wild society of bacteria living in you and on you, respond to melatonin too. They love it. Some strains grow faster with it. Others slow down. It's like melatonin is conducting a microbial lullaby. Historians still debate whether ancient Ayurvedic fasting rituals, which often align with lunar cycles and circadian fasting windows, were instinctively syncing with melatonin rhythms. There's no written evidence tying it directly to gut hormones, but isn't it eerie how closely these ancient practices match what we're just now confirming? Back to you, lying still. Maybe your stomach gurgled a bit just now. That's okay, it's not empty. It's transitioning. After sunset, the gut moves from digestion mode to repair mode. Melatonin plays a central role here, nudging the immune system to clean up lingering inflammation and quietly reinforcing the protective mucosal barrier. It's like your gut is tucking itself in. But here's the weird twist. Melatonin in your gut doesn't follow your sleep schedule. It follows the gut's circadian rhythm. Even if you're wide awake at 2 a.m., doom-scrolling spicy news, your gut might still decide it's repair time and pump out melatonin anyway. That's why eating late can be confusing for your system. You're sending mixed messages. It's midnight snack time versus it's tissue regeneration hour. Your intestines can't be in two modes at once. They try, bless them, but it's like asking someone to floss and hum at the same time. Messy. Quirky fact: researchers recently found that melatonin levels in the colon spike shortly after your last evening meal, almost like your digestive system expects you to wind down. A final snack at 11 p.m.? That confuses the rhythm. It's like showing up to a yoga class with a marching band. And yes, you can throw off your gut's melatonin production for days just by skipping meals, overeating at weird times, or even changing time zones. Jet lag doesn't just affect your sleep, it affects your poop schedule. That's not a joke. Travelers often complain of sluggish digestion, and part of it is the gut saying, "Where even are we right now?" Another fringe but serious observation: melatonin has been used in small clinical trials to treat certain forms of irritable bowel syndrome and inflammatory bowel disease, not as a sedative, as a local gut regulator. That little capsule on your nightstand isn't just helping your brain, it might be talking to your colon too. Now imagine your gut right now, not a battlefield, not a roaring furnace, but a moonlit pond, smooth, quiet. The bacteria in there are winding down, adjusting their dance to the chemical hush of melatonin. Immune cells patrol slowly. Lining cells repair tiny tears you'll never feel. You've eaten your last meal hours ago, hopefully, and the orchestra of digestion has faded to a whisper. You're not digesting anymore. You're transitioning. This is when healing happens. The gut lining, which endures so much abrasion and acid during the day, finally gets to regenerate. It's a miraculous process, and it happens best when you're resting and when melatonin is flowing. Melatonin in the gut even helps you absorb nutrients better by synchronizing transport proteins. It's like a border control agent that actually wants you to thrive. One study even showed melatonin improving the absorption of zinc and magnesium minerals crucial for sleep and nerve repair. So while your brain is starting to cloud over with foggy, feather-soft sleep chemistry, your gut is awake in its own sleepy way, not alert, not digesting, but restoring. And if you've ever had a gut feeling late at night or dreamt of food for no reason, maybe, just maybe, that was your enteric nervous system tuning in, whispering through the walls of your intestines with just enough melatonin to say, "All is calm, we're rebuilding. You don't have to do anything, you just have to lie there." Your brain drips its nightly dose, your skin welcomes the change. And your gut? It's humming a deep, warm lullaby in microbial harmony. Now that we've drifted through your skin and gut, let's climb back up gently, softly into the quiet sanctuary of your brain. Specifically, let's pay a visit to one of your most mysterious little glands, no larger than a grain of rice, the pineal gland. Nestled deep in the center of your brain, near the roof of your third ventricle, the pineal gland has been called many things over the centuries: the seat of the soul, the third eye, the inner lantern. Yet Descartes was so obsessed with it, he insisted it was where the body and soul met. He also thought it swiveled like a little periscope. It doesn't. What it does do, beautifully, invisibly, is produce melatonin in response to darkness. True darkness. Not "I dimmed my phone screen" darkness, but the kind where your optic nerves can no longer detect any photons. Only then does the pineal gland begin its gentle exhale of melatonin into your bloodstream. It's slow, rhythmic, whispering. You don't feel it happen, but you do feel what comes next. Your body temperature lowers by a fraction of a degree. Your blood pressure dips. Cortisol eases back. Thoughts start to drift into strange shapes, less structured, more dreamy, and eventually your brain waves begin to ripple into the first stages of sleep. Here's the quirky part. Your pineal gland used to be an actual eye. Well, kind of. Historians still argue whether the pineal gland in ancient vertebrates was light sensitive in the way a modern eye is, but in some reptiles and amphibians, it still is. Ever heard of a third eye in lizards or fish? That's a vestigial pineal eye. In species like the tuatara, a nocturnal reptile that looks like a tiny, grumpy dinosaur, it even has a lens and retina and can detect changes in daylight. In humans, the pineal gland no longer sees, but it still listens to light in its own indirect way. It receives its instructions from a complicated relay. Light enters your eyes, hits a special patch of cells called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells. We'll just say iPRGCs. And those send signals to your suprachiasmatic nucleus, remember her? Which then informs the pineal gland if it's time to make melatonin or not. This whole relay system is so sensitive that even a brief flicker of blue light, like checking a text at 11:30 p.m., can send a cancel melatonin message down the chain. That's why people say to avoid screens before bed. It's not moralizing, it's literally biological. Blue light equals daytime to your pineal gland, and your poor melatonin molecules get stood up like they were promised a romantic dinner and got ghosted instead. So what happens when the pineal gland does its job right? You start to feel your thoughts soften. Your body loses some of its vertical ambition, like you could sink right through the mattress if you let go. And this part is subtle but lovely. Your sense of time begins to fade. A minute feels like 5, or none at all. Melatonin doesn't knock you out like a sedative. It opens the door, it dims the hallway. It leads you down a gentle ramp towards sleep. And what about aging? Well, as you get older, your pineal gland tends to calcify. Literally small calcium deposits build up. This happens to almost everyone. It doesn't mean it stops working entirely, but it might explain why older adults sometimes have more trouble sleeping. Their inner lantern isn't as bright as it once was. Still, the pineal gland is stubborn. Even when calcified, it often produces enough melatonin to guide the sleep cycle, especially when given proper darkness and routine. Now, here's something quietly strange. In some early religions and mystical traditions, the pineal gland was symbolized as a tiny flame or a sacred gate between worlds. You can still see pine cone imagery thought to represent the pineal in ancient Egyptian carvings and even in Vatican art. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe our ancestors knew there was something different about this tiny, tucked-away structure in the brain. Modern science doesn't embrace the third eye metaphor with much enthusiasm, but some neuroscientists will tell you with a wink that the pineal gland's role in perception, dreaming, and time sense is still wildly underexplored. Back to you. Resting, listening. Your pineal gland, warmed by the hush of night, is probably in mid-release right now, gently diffusing melatonin into your bloodstream, inviting your systems to pause. No alarms, no shouting. Just a quiet biochemical suggestion. You can stop now, the day is done. Your breath slows. Your eyelids feel a little heavier. The outside world begins to soften at the edges. All thanks to a piece of your brain that never asks for attention. Never screams, never flexes, just pulses, humbly, with the rhythm of night and day. Let's step outside your body for a moment, barefoot, into the cool air, and look at the sky. No, really, imagine it. You quietly watching the last lavender light slip behind the trees, the hum of insects rising, the stars starting to blink one by one into the indigo dome. Somewhere above you, the moon is pulling faint tides through your bloodstream. That's not poetic fluff, it's circadian science. Your body is tuned to light, yes, but also to rhythm. Cycles, orbits, pulses in the environment that your cells have been listening to for millennia, long before alarm clocks, LED bulbs, and 3 a.m. Tick-tock rabbit holes. At the center of this invisible concert is something called the suprachiasmatic nucleus SCN if you're sleepy. It's a tiny bundle of neurons in your hypothalamus, just above where your optic nerves cross. It's your master timekeeper, your internal conductor, your silent metronome. When light hits your eyes, this little cluster gets the memo. It adjusts your body clock, your circadian rhythm accordingly. It tells your pineal gland when to make melatonin, your digestive tract when to expect food, your muscles when to recover, and your mind when to slip into the dream world. But here's the twist. The SCN doesn't just respond to light, it also listens for behavioral clues. That means you can shift your body clock with your choices. When you eat, when you move, when you stare into your fridge at midnight contemplating leftover garlic naan. Historians still argue whether ancient monastic schedules, those early wake-ups, set meal times, evening chants, were designed to regulate the circadian rhythm before we even had a name for it. Some scholars think it was accidental. Others suspect those early sleep-wake rituals were deeply intentional. Either way, they probably slept better than we do now. Here's something quirky and modern. In controlled experiments, people who lived without any external time cues, no clocks, no windows, no internet, still settled into a roughly 24-hour rhythm. Their bodies knew when to sleep. They knew when to wake. That internal clock is hardwired, but also fragile. Jet lag, shift work, staying up too late binging documentaries about space potatoes, all of it can throw your circadian rhythm out of tune. And when that happens, your melatonin secretion gets weird. Either too early, too late, or not enough at all. And that matters because melatonin isn't just about sleep. It synchronizes dozens of biological functions: hormone release, cell repair, immune signaling, even gene expression. So if you've ever felt like you were sleepwalking through a Tuesday, or like your brain was coated in mental molasses after pulling an all-nighter, it wasn't your imagination. Your circadian rhythm was offbeat. Your melatonin missed its cue. Want to know something softly strange? In one study, people who sat near a window at work got better sleep at night and had more natural melatonin rhythms than people working under artificial lights all day. Just a little daylight, real sunlight, seemed to recalibrate the clock. Like your body was saying, ah, yes, the sun, I remember her. You're not just a person, you're a system, a rhythm, a soft, oscillating pulse between light and dark. Now picture this: early evening, light fading, your body temperature has started its downward slope. You haven't eaten in a few hours, you've dimmed the lights. Maybe there's a candle flickering or the soft glow of salt lamp ambiance. Your SCN notices. It whispers to your pineal gland, time. And melatonin, like a sleepy but faithful friend, begins to flow. You start to feel that delicious heaviness behind your eyes. Not exhaustion, not burnout, just permission. A gravitational pull towards stillness. Circadian rhythms aren't just about sleep. They're about trust. Trusting your body to know what time it is. Trusting the earth to turn. Trusting the dark to be healing, not scary. Even now, as you lie there listening to my voice, your rhythm is adjusting, responding, unfolding. You don't have to do anything except not fight it. The rhythm wants to carry you. So maybe tomorrow you let a little more natural light in. Maybe you eat a little earlier. Maybe, just maybe, you put your phone down 15 minutes before bed and watch the shadows move on your wall instead. Not because you're fixing anything, but because you're remembering. Your body already knows how to sleep. Melatonin is just the messenger. If you've ever had a weird craving for walnuts before bed or felt inexplicably drawn to a late-night banana, your body might be whispering to you in the ancient language of food chemistry. That's right, melatonin isn't just made inside your brain. It also shows up in your diet, quietly tucked into certain fruits, seeds, grains, and even spices. Food, it turns out, can hum along with your circadian rhythm, amplifying its melody or muting it altogether. Let's start with a sleepy superstar: tart cherries. These little crimson gems aren't just for Payson or questionable Thanksgiving traditions. They're one of the richest natural food sources of melatonin ever studied. One small clinical trial showed that people who drank tart cherry juice in the evening fell asleep faster and stayed asleep longer. It wasn't magic, it was chemistry, each sip adding a touch of exogenous melatonin to your internal supply. Historians still argue whether ancient Greek athletes consumed cherries for sleep or for post-race inflammation. But we know the fruit has been part of human medicine since long before Instagram wellness influencers got to it. Next up, walnuts. These oddly brain-shaped tree nuts contain modest levels of melatonin, but they also carry precursors like tryptophan and omega-3's tiny nutrients that feed your body's own melatonin factory. And speaking of tryptophan, let's detour briefly into poultry territory. You've heard the myth, turkey makes you sleepy. It's only half true. Turkey contains tryptophan, yes, but so do eggs, cheese, oats, and even pumpkin seeds. The trick is pairing it with carbohydrates, which help tryptophan cross the blood-brain barrier. So that sleepy Thanksgiving haze? Probably more about mashed potatoes than drumsticks. Here's a fun fringe tidbit. In traditional Chinese medicine, Warm millet porridge is often used as a sleep aid. It's easy to digest, calming to the stomach, and packed with magnesium, a mineral your body uses to regulate melatonin and GABA, your chill-out neurotransmitter. You won't see that in most Western sleep tip lists, but it works. Quietly, comfortingly. And don't forget bananas. High in potassium and magnesium, they help relax your muscles and support melatonin production. Some insomniacs even swear by the banana tea ritual, steeping the whole banana, peel and all, in hot water before bed. Does it work? Science says maybe. Your grandmother might say absolutely. Here's where things get deliciously strange. Your gut bacteria can also make melatonin. That's right, you're not the only one producing it. Your microbiome, the invisible metropolis of trillions of microbes inside your digestive tract, also synthesizes melatonin and helps regulate your sleep-wake cycle. And you, in turn, feed those microbes with the food you eat. High-fiber, prebiotic-rich foods like leeks, onions, garlic, oats, and flaxseed aren't just healthy, they're microbial lullabies. They nurture the bacteria that help you sleep. Want a dreamy nightcap that nudges your inner systems toward sleep? Try this. A small bowl of warm oats, a spoonful of flax, a sprinkle of cinnamon, maybe a few tart cherries or walnuts on top. No sugar bomb, just slow carbs, minerals, and natural melatonin. Think of it as edible moonlight. But let's not get too romantic. Food is only one piece of the puzzle. Timing matters too. Eating late at night, especially large fatty meals, can suppress melatonin production. Your body gets confused. It's expecting rest, but you just dropped a spicy burrito into the digestive pipeline. Now your system has to stay awake to deal with it, and your sleep suffers the consequences. Chrononutrition. Yes, that's a real field is all about when you eat, not just what. Studies suggest that eating dinner earlier, ideally 3-4 hours before bed, allows melatonin to rise naturally, undisturbed by metabolic chaos. One quirky example? Mediterranean cultures often eat dinner late, but they also take mid-afternoon naps and enjoy extended evening walks, both of which may offset the metabolic disruption. Context matters. Culture matters. You're not a robot, you're a rhythm. So maybe your midnight snack isn't the villain, it's the timing, the type, or the mindless munching. Instead, imagine making it a ritual. A warm drink, a few bites of something mineral-rich and gentle, a pause, no screens, just the soft clink of a spoon against a bowl. Just you and your body finishing the day together. And if someone asks why you're steeping a banana in your kitchen at 9:30 p.m., just tell them you're biohacking the moon. Let's get a little weirder because the skin, your largest organ, isn't just keeping the rain out. It might also be whispering messages about light, rhythm, and yes, even melatonin. You already know your eyes are gateways for light signals. But what if I told you your skin could see too? Not in a sci-fi X-ray vision kind of way, but in a light-sensitive bioclock syncing kind of way. Yep, parts of your skin contain photoreceptors, light-sensitive proteins that react when exposed to light. Your body has evolved to register ambient light, not just through your eyes, but through your skin's surface as well. Weak am I, because your biology is sneakily elegant and probably a little paranoid. This means that even when your eyes are closed, blue light leaking through your bedroom curtains or glowing from your phone screen can trigger a mini daylight alert at the skin level, especially around your face and neck. Some studies suggest this ambient light may slightly suppress melatonin production. Your body thinks, wait, is it sunrise over today? Historians still argue whether pre-industrial humans were more sensitive to moonlight because of this full-body light awareness, or if they simply rose and slept with the sun. Either way, they weren't dodging the glare of LED billboards on the way home from the tavern. Here's a quirky detour. In ancient Japan, some monks would sleep under bamboo shades woven to let moonlight stream through, believing the light calmed the mind and balanced the body's energy flows. Imagine how many wellness blogs would lose their minds if that practice came back in style. Now, about the skin and melatonin, not only can your skin detect light, but it also produces melatonin locally. That's right. Your epidermis isn't just a protective barrier, it's a sleepy little factory. Scientists believe melatonin in the skin acts as an antioxidant, shielding your cells from UV radiation and pollution during the day, and then playing a soothing role in repair and regeneration overnight. Think of it as your body's overnight spa technician, quietly working on cellular renewal while you dream about sentient cheese or running late for algebra class again. Your skin's relationship with melatonin may also explain why nighttime skincare routines feel so calming. It's not just the lavender moisturizer or the 12-step ritual, it's the message you're sending to your skin. Hey, it's nighttime now. Let's wind down. Soft lighting, rhythmic motions, warm water, it all nudges melatonin production and relaxes the nervous system. Here's something else. Melatonin-rich skin isn't evenly distributed. Your scalp, forehead, and neck areas have been found to contain higher levels of skin melatonin receptors. No wonder gentle scalp massages and warm compresses on your neck feel so deeply relaxing. They may be activating your skin's built-in rest mode. And yes, there's fringe science about melatonin creams used topically, not just for sleep, but for reducing skin inflammation, sun damage, even wrinkles. Whether they truly penetrate deep enough to impact your sleep is still debated. But the placebo effect of a calming bedtime ritual? Real and powerful. Quick tangent. In parts of West Africa, nighttime shea butter massages are used to calm children before bed. The shea butter soothes the skin, but the real magic might be in the slow, rhythmic pressure tapping into the vagus nerve, lowering cortisol, letting melatonin rise. No white noise machine required. Modern life, unfortunately, isn't skin-friendly at bedtime. Think of your glowing screens, late-night emails, or scrolling through dramatic group chats under bright kitchen lights. It's like telling your skin, rise and shine, sweetheart, instead of let's float into slumber. One solution? Amber light bulbs in the bedroom. Their longer wavelengths don't disrupt melatonin rhythms as harshly as blue or white light. Bonus, they make your room look like a Victorian ghost might waltz in with a candlestick. Another, cover your skin from unnecessary light exposure after sunset. Not just with blackout curtains, but maybe with soft clothing, a sleep mask, or even cozy blankets that signal night to your body on multiple sensory channels. And when you do step outside under the stars, let your skin feel it. The coolness of night air, the brush of breeze, the soft darkness. Your skin understands. It remembers moonlight. It remembers shadow. So tonight, as you drift off and your body quietly releases melatonin into your bloodstream and your skin hums its own sleepy tune, remember this. You don't just live in your body, you live through it. Somewhere deep inside your head, tucked between your eyebrows, behind your eyes, and wrapped in mystery lives a tiny pine cone-shaped gland that may just be your body's spiritual dimmer switch. The pineal gland. You've probably heard it whispered about in podcasts, yoga classes, or that one friend who swears it's your third eye. But beyond the mysticism, this tiny gland does something surprisingly concrete. It's your body's master melatonin timekeeper. Let's zoom in. The pineal gland sits near the center of your brain, almost exactly at the crossroads between your two hemispheres. It's part of the epithalamus, and unlike most other glands, it's not behind a blood-brain barrier, meaning it has more direct contact with your circulatory system. That's not just anatomical trivia, it helps explain how quickly and efficiently it can release melatonin into your bloodstream once it gets the cue. And that cue, darkness. When your eyes sense a drop in light like dusk falling, or your bedside lamp switching off, they send a signal through the retino-hypothalamic tract, yes, that's a mouthful, to the suprachiasmatic nucleus in your hypothalamus, your internal master clock. That clock passes the memo to the pineal gland, which goes, bedtime, and starts pumping out melatonin. Now here's where it gets dreamy. The pineal gland doesn't just secrete melatonin. It responds to rhythm, not just daily circadian rhythms, but possibly lunar and seasonal ones too. Historians still argue whether ancient megalithic structures, think Stonehenge or the pyramids, were built in alignment with celestial patterns because of an unconscious connection to pineal sensitivity. Some suggest early humans could sense lunar cycles in their bodies the way we feel jet lag today. It's poetic speculation, yes, but also not entirely dismissed by chronobiologists. And now for a deliciously strange tidbit. Certain amphibians and reptiles have visible pineal glands, sometimes called a third eye. In species like the tuatara, a rare lizard from New Zealand, this gland has a photoreceptive function, literally detecting light through the skull. It's unclear whether it helps them know when to nap, but the similarity to our own pineal gland makes evolutionary biologists raise an eyebrow. Or three, now back to you. In modern humans, the pineal gland has gotten a rough deal. Fluorescent lighting, screen time, stress, poor diet, they all confuse the poor thing. It was built to operate in sync with campfires and sunsets, not 24/7 artificial glow. There's also the fringe theory that fluoride calcifies the pineal gland, rendering it sluggish and less responsive. This theory lives somewhere between legitimate science and late-night internet rabbit holes, but it's enough of a curiosity that some scientists have called for more research into environmental pollutants and their impact on endocrine function. One confirmed threat, though, light at night, even brief exposure to artificial light in the evening, especially blue light, can suppress pineal melatonin secretion by up to 50%. That's not a conspiracy, that's just bad lighting design. It's why sleep researchers now recommend light hygiene with the same urgency they once reserved for brushing your teeth. And here's the gentle joke. Your pineal gland is trying its best. It doesn't have a degree in modern architecture. It wasn't trained in LED resistance. It just wants to give you melatonin in peace. So how do you support it? You dim the lights in the evening. You avoid bright screens after 9 p.m. You maybe even try a gentle wind-down routine like warm tea, slow stretching, a book printed on actual paper. You let darkness come back into your life, not in the ominous way, but in the natural, embracing kind. Some cultures have done this for centuries. In parts of India, small oil lamps are used at night not just for light, but for mood. The flicker of flame mimics natural firelight, low, golden, rhythmically soft. In Ayurveda, this evening environment supports the body's tamas energy, a Sanskrit word for restfulness and grounding. Whether or not your pineal gland speaks Sanskrit, it definitely responds to candlelight. And while we're here, melatonin isn't the pineal gland's only trick. There's ongoing debate about whether it also secretes small amounts of DMT, the molecule linked with vivid dreaming and mystical experience. Most reputable scientists tread carefully here, as the evidence is sparse, but the theory persists that in certain states like dreaming or near-death experiences, your pineal gland may open a kind of neurological doorway. You don't have to believe that, but it's still kind of cool to know that the same tiny gland that helps you fall asleep might also be your gateway to the weirdest dreams you've ever had. So tonight, as you lie there in the hush between thoughts, your pineal gland is waiting, quiet, patient, pine-cone shaped, and as darkness falls, it begins its slow cascade melatonin flowing like liquid dusk, cooling your brain, easing your heart, dimming your inner world until the stars return, inside and out. Let's step away from your brain and wander down into the wild-forested realm of your gut, a place as packed with mystery as it is with bacteria. And yes, our old friend melatonin lives here too. Surprised? Most people are. The brain gets all the glory when we talk about sleep chemistry, but your gastrointestinal tract produces about 400 times more melatonin than your pineal gland. That's right. While your brain drips it like a sleepy whisper, your gut brews it like an underground factory. Why? Well, think of your gut as an ancient, independent entity. It's loaded with neurons, over 100 million of them, and it operates with a shocking amount of autonomy. Some scientists call it the second brain, but honestly, it's more like your first roommate, messy, opinionated, but essential to your survival. And your gut's production of melatonin isn't just about sleep. It plays a critical role in digestive rhythm. It helps regulate intestinal motility, a fancy term for how smoothly things move along in there. Melatonin keeps your digestive system pulsing in coordinated waves, especially overnight. You're literally digesting in rhythm, even while dreaming. Historians still argue whether ancient fasting rituals, like those practiced during Ramadan, or the Greek Eleusinian mysteries, coincidentally aligned with shifts in gut melatonin, enhancing focus and spiritual clarity. It's speculative, sure, but fascinating. Here's a quirky fact. Early 20th century Russian scientists believed gut bacteria had a psychic influence over sleep and dreams. While they didn't have the microbiome maps we do now, they weren't entirely off the mark. Turns out your gut bacteria may influence how your body processes and responds to melatonin. Certain microbial species can even metabolize tryptophan, the precursor to melatonin. It's like your microbes are moonlighting as sleep pharmacists. So, the food you eat, it doesn't just go through you, it helps orchestrate your internal sleep symphony. Let's talk turkey, or rather, tryptophan. Everyone's favorite post-Thanksgiving buzzword, this amino acid is found in foods like poultry, oats, bananas, and seeds. It gets converted into serotonin and eventually into melatonin, especially when consumed in the evening. This is why so many cultures have bedtime foods rooted in tryptophan-rich comfort. Warm rice milk, honeyed oats, banana stews. In Mexico, there's a tole, a warm drink made from corn, cinnamon, and milk. In India, it's haldi doodh turmeric milk, simmered slowly and sipped like a lullaby. And speaking of cinnamon, did you know certain spices like cardamom, nutmeg, and cloves may help regulate gut function and calm the nervous system? Some studies suggest they may even support natural melatonin rhythms. It's like your spice rack is hiding a tiny sleep clinic. Of course, none of this works if your gut is out of sync. Modern life stress, sugar, antibiotics, irregular eating times can disrupt your microbiome, affecting melatonin production and absorption. It's the equivalent of trying to host a meditation retreat next to a construction site. Here's where ritual comes back in. Eating dinner at the same time every night, choosing warm, simple meals in the evening, avoiding caffeine and sugar late in the day. These aren't just good habits. They're melatonin support systems. You're telling your gut, we're settling in now, nothing dramatic, nothing neon, just gentle rhythms. And then there's breath. Yes, breath. The vagus nerve, a critical communication highway between your brain and gut, is activated by slow diaphragmatic breathing. When you take slow, belly-deep breaths before bed, you're not just calming your thoughts. You're telling your gut, hey, safe now. No tigers. Let's digest. Let's rest. In traditional Chinese medicine, this connection is beautifully emphasized. Practitioners believe that stomach qi should descend smoothly at night. If it rises causing indigestion, anxiety, or dreams of being chased through IKEA, it means the body hasn't transitioned into rest mode. One gentle trick, a warm compress on the belly before bed. It relaxes the abdominal wall, stimulates the vagus nerve, and may even nudge melatonin upward. A quiet cue for your gut brain to begin its nightly descent into slowness. So tonight, after your last bite, after the tea's gone cold, and after the final dishes are stacked in the sink, your gut begins its slow symphony. Wave after wave, moving in rhythm, releasing its own soft melatonin fog. It hums beneath your sheets, a warm orchestra of nerves and bacteria and ancient enzymes doing their part to tuck you in from the inside. Sleep, it turns out, is not just a head game. It's a full-body lullaby. By now, your body's tucked into its rituals, your pineal gland's pulsing like a sleepy lighthouse, and your gut, bless its bacteria, is humming in tune. But there's another unsung hero in your internal sleep story, one that lives quietly inside nearly every cell in your body. Welcome to the velvety underworld of your mitochondria, those tiny, bean-shaped energy factories that surprisingly may moonlight as co-authors of your circadian rhythm. Yes, mitochondria are more than just the powerhouses of the cell. Cue the high school flashbacks. They're also guardians of your body's oxidative balance, producers of cellular energy, and intriguingly, partners in your nightly repair cycle. When you drift into deep sleep, your mitochondria kick off a subtle but critical detox rhythm, working to clear out the metabolic waste you've built up during the day. You probably won't survive this, but without regular mitochondrial cleanup, your body essentially clogs. Think of it like trying to fall asleep in a house with every trash bin overflowing. Not exactly dreamy. Here's a curious historical nod. In the 1930s, scientists believed sleep was just the result of exhausted nerve juice running low, like a mechanical fuel tank. But we now know it's more elegant than that. Sleep is when your cells go into restorative mode, when mitochondria stop hustling and start tidying. Think Roomba, but glowier. And here's the twist. Melatonin is part of that mitochondrial cleanup crew. In fact, some researchers now believe melatonin may have evolved originally as a mitochondrial antioxidant, not a hormone at all. That's right before it became the sleep molecule. It might have been your cell's personal anti-aging serum. Historians still argue whether ancient longevity herbs like gynostemma from China or ashwagandha from India extend life partly by supporting mitochondrial health. There's no consensus, but many of these botanicals are now being studied for their effects on oxidative stress and circadian regulation. Turns out your great-great-grandma's weird root tea might have been better than multivitamins. And now for your fringe tidbit of the night. Some scientists propose that mitochondria emit biophotons, tiny bursts of light, while working. Invisible to the human eye, but perhaps part of how cells communicate. The theory is out there, dancing somewhere between science and sci-fi, but it makes you wonder, what else are your cells whispering in the dark? All of this brings us to a curious paradox. Light affects your mitochondria, but your mitochondria may also emit light. It's like your body may sit from within in a whispering Morse code of glow and repair. So how do you treat your mitochondria like the royal bedtime workers they are? First, stop eating at least 2 hours before bed. Digestion steals energy from repair. Give your cells the chance to focus. Second, support melatonin's mitochondrial role by avoiding blue light. Yes, but also embracing darkness. Your mitochondria respond to light cues even inside deep muscle tissue. That's how deeply connected your entire system is to circadian rhythm. And third, consider gentle mitochondrial nutrients. Things like magnesium, coenzyme Q10, and ALA, alpha-lipoic acid, are often found in bedtime teas, warm leafy meals, or the quiet rituals of sleep tonic cultures. It doesn't have to be fancy. A handful of pumpkin seeds in a dark room is already a love letter to your inner bioglow. In ancient Persian medicine, there's a concept called night purification, not just for the spirit, but for the body. Practitioners advise sleeping early, avoiding excess food, and allowing the body to cleanse its own fire. Maybe they didn't call it mitochondrial function, but they honored its timing just the same. And now you're calm, you're lying still. Lights are low, screens have gone dark. The only glow left might be the quiet rhythm of your own cells. Inside each one, those little bean-shaped bodies flicker with gentle purpose, making energy, sweeping up, restoring you. They don't ask for thanks, just rhythm. Because sleep isn't passive, it's your body working its deepest kind of magic. Mitochondria don't sleep, so you can. Let's take a quiet detour now, far from cells and mitochondria, and float into something softer, almost poetic. The skin, that vast, whispering landscape you carry around all day, but rarely notice once you slip beneath the covers. You may not realize it, but your skin listens to the night. It feels the drop in temperature. It senses the dark. And yes, just like your eyes and gut, it responds to melatonin. Not only does your skin contain melatonin receptors, it can also synthesize melatonin all on its own, right there at the cellular level. It's not just responding to night, it's part of the night. You're wearing a sleep organ, basically. And let's not forget, your skin is your largest organ, pulsing quietly with blood vessels, nerves, and immune cells. It's an interface between the outside world and your soft, vulnerable insides. So when the sun dips and you dim the lights, your skin isn't just relieved, it's shifting modes. Historians still argue whether ancient Roman baths served primarily hygienic or spiritual purposes. But what's clear is that many of these rituals ended in a cold plunge, followed by wrapping the body in warm linen. A sensory cue to the skin: the outside is clean, the fire has dimmed, sleep is approaching. And your skin, dear listener, thrives on sensory cues. It doesn't speak in language, it speaks in pressure, texture, and temperature. Let's dive into temperature for a moment. In the hours before natural sleep onset, your core body temperature drops, while skin temperature rises, especially in your hands and feet. This heat transfer helps signal to the brain that it's time to rest. That's why warm socks or a pre-bed bath can work wonders. They draw blood to the skin's surface, allowing heat to exit and sleepiness to slide in. Quirky tip: in Scandinavian countries, some people store their pajamas in the freezer, wrapped in a clean cloth, of course, then slip them on right before bed. That jolt of cold on the skin mimics twilight, promoting a rebound warming effect and faster sleep onset. Chill now, snooze later. But this skin-sleep connection doesn't stop at temperature. There's also light. Melanocytes, the pigment-producing cells in your skin, have their own light-sensing receptors. While they don't see light the way your eyes do, they still respond to UV and blue light wavelengths. In other words, your skin can detect light pollution. That glow from your phone, your skin knows, and it whispers to your melatonin, not yet, it's still daytime. Even dim bedside lights can delay natural melatonin release by hours. That's why traditional Japanese inns use paper lanterns with amber-tinted hues, and why Ayurvedic homes dim all artificial lights after sunset. These weren't just cultural quirks, they were circadian whispers. Now imagine the feel of a light cotton sheet on your bare arms. That subtle brush, it's not just comfort, it's chemical. Your skin's touch receptors, like Merkel cells and Meissner corpuscles, yes, science named them that, send signals to your parasympathetic nervous system, inviting and calm, slowing your breath, and supporting melatonin's climb. And then there's aromatherapy, the skin's secret gateway to the brain. Essential oils like lavender, chamomile, neroli, and frankincense can cross the skin barrier, especially when applied with warm oil or added to a bedtime bath. In some Ayurvedic sleep rituals, practitioners warm sesame oil and massage it into the scalp, feet, and hands. The warmth, the scent, and the pressure combine to activate the vagus nerve, encourage melatonin production, and lull the skin into silence. Fringe but fun? Some wellness circles swear by moonlight, bathing exposing the skin to natural moonlight, ideally during a waxing phase, to balance internal energy and promote harmony between light and darkness. There's no hard science behind it, but it's a poetic way to rejoin your body with natural rhythms. And remember that sunscreen made from crocodile dung? That wasn't just ancient weirdness, it was skincare as sunlight modulation. Cultures long ago understood that what touches the skin also touches the soul. So here's the invitation tonight. Touch your skin softly. Choose natural fibers. Cool your room. Try a warm oil or a silky balm. Light a candle instead of flipping on a bulb. And let your skin, this wise and quiet organ, know that night has truly arrived. Because when your skin feels safe, sleep steps in. Now let's go deeper. Past the skin, beyond your mitochondria, even underneath your pulse into the quiet shimmering threads that tether your nervous system to your sense of self. You've probably heard of the vagus nerve, that wandering, invisible string running from your brainstem, through your chest, and deep into your gut. But tonight you'll feel it. Or rather, you'll feel what happens when it hums like a lullaby. This nerve is your body's secret relaxation switch, the master conductor of your parasympathetic nervous system, sometimes called the rest and digest mode. And wouldn't you know it, melatonin loves a calm vagus. You're not just resting when you sleep, you're orchestrating a delicate whole-body exhale, and the vagus nerve is your breath's best friend. Let's start with something ancient. In early Taoist meditation texts, there's a phrase, "Let your breath be so gentle, the flame of a candle does not flicker." Practitioners would sit for hours, slowing their breathing until it became like mist. They believed this breath could heal the spirit and anchor the soul. They didn't use the word vagal tone, but they absolutely knew how to raise it. Here's where modern science catches up. Slow, rhythmic breathing, especially through the nose, stimulates the vagus nerve. It lowers heart rate, reduces cortisol, and nudges melatonin upward. Your body hears that breath and thinks, we're safe now. Historians still argue whether yogic pranayama was originally developed for physical health or spiritual transcendence. But what's clear is that its effects on the vagus nerve are measurable, repeatable, and honestly kind of magical. And it doesn't stop at breathing. Gentle humming, singing, gargling, and even slow chanting all activate this nerve through vocal cord vibration. Which means, yes, your weird little habit of humming while doing dishes could be a vagal tune-up. Want a fringe fact? Some researchers have explored vagal nerve implants to treat epilepsy, depression, and even insomnia. But there's a softer route. A study once showed that simply submerging your face in cold water, the classic diving reflex, can tone the vagus nerve and reduce stress. It's like a reset button hidden behind your cheekbones. Now let's loop back to melatonin. This sleepy molecule doesn't just rise when light fades, it's also modulated by stress levels. A hyperactive nervous system can flatten your melatonin curve, delaying onset and shortening deep sleep. And your vagus nerve, it's the main brake pedal for that stress surge. So what's the ritual? It could be 5 minutes of box breathing, inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. It could be oil pulling, that Ayurvedic morning swish that oddly stimulates vagal tone. It could be gargling salt water or simply singing softly in the shower. In Ladakhi healing practices, there's a lullaby sung only to the sick or sleep-deprived. No words, just low tones vibrated from the belly. The healers believe it calls the bones home. That's vagus work, right there, acoustic medicine, grounding your body into place. Want something more playful? Try vagal tapping. Gently tapping the center of your chest or the sides of your neck with your fingertips while breathing slowly. It looks odd, sure, but the rhythm and contact cue your body into safety. Some call it somatic lullabying. And never underestimate the power of silence. The vagus nerve responds to stillness too, to soft lighting, warm blankets, eye contact, and quiet environments. That's why your coziest naps happen not when the room is perfectly dark, but when the whole world feels far away. So tonight, let your breath slow. Let the hum of your fan or the tick of your clock be enough music. Let your chest rise and fall like you're sleeping in a storybook village, curled next to a fire. Your vagus nerve is listening, and so is melatonin, because you don't fall asleep by force. You fall asleep by permission. And your nervous system gives that permission when it feels home. And now we drift even deeper into the spaces where science blends with myth and where healing becomes ritual. You've followed melatonin through your eyes, your gut, your skin, and your breath. But tonight it slips quietly into the realm of aromatics, into oil, smoke, and ancient scent. Because your nose, dear listener, is a secret switchboard, a direct line to memory, emotion, and melatonin. The olfactory system, the part of your brain responsible for smell, connects directly to your limbic system, bypassing the usual bureaucratic routes through the cerebral cortex. That means scent reaches your emotion centers and memory banks in milliseconds. In certain sense, they bring melatonin along for the ride. Let's start with lavender. It's not just for Instagram bath bombs. Studies show that lavender essential oil can increase deep sleep and reduce nighttime waking, especially when inhaled just before bed. Its compounds like linalool and lanolinic acetate interact with GABA pathways, similar to how certain anti-anxiety medications work, but without the weird dreams or next-day brain fog. In 16th century England, people stuffed their pillows with dried lavender and rosemary to ward off bad spirits and nightmares. Historians still argue whether this was purely symbolic or based on the real calming effect of the oils. Either way, they were definitely onto something. But lavender's just the beginning. There's Roman chamomile, with its sweet apple scent that seems to hug your eyelids. There's neroli, the exotic bittersweet bloom of the orange tree, beloved by Moroccan brides for calming nerves. And frankincense, yes, the same resin gifted to baby Jesus has been shown to reduce heart rate and anxiety through olfactory channels. Fringe tidbit? In ancient Egypt, elite sleepers had custom-blended fragrance cones melted onto their heads during night ceremonies. The oils slowly released as the wax softened in the desert heat, bathing them in sleep-inducing aromas until sunrise. Now, modern science may not endorse head cones, but diffusers, aroma patches, and oil rollers have taken their place. You can even blend your own bedtime scent. Try this dreamy mix. 2 drops lavender, 1 drop neroli, 1 drop clary sage. Rub on your wrists, neck, and soles of your feet, yes, feet, and let the olfactory spell begin. Why feet? Good question. According to traditional Chinese medicine, the kidney 1 acupoint called bubbling spring is located on the sole. It's believed to draw energy downward, quiet the heart, and restore yin. Massaging essential oils here is said to ground restless energy and invite deeper sleep. Whether or not you believe in meridians, it's a lovely little ritual that your body understands as, it's time now. Let's not forget smoke, incense. In indigenous cultures from the Amazon to the Himalayas, smoke cleansing isn't just spiritual, it's sensory. Palo Santo, mugwort, and sandalwood all carry terpenes that affect the nervous system. Lighting a stick or bundle before bed does more than scent the room, it primes your brain for descent. And here's where melatonin steps in. The nose's olfactory bulb communicates with the pineal gland, that little pine cone-shaped organ tucked deep in your brain, which you guessed it makes melatonin. While light is the pineal gland's master conductor, scent is like a whispered suggestion. Let go. In rural Japanese ryokans, guests are offered small aromatic pillows filled with rice hulls and crushed herbs. The scent isn't strong, it's subtle, the kind of aroma you notice only as you're falling asleep. That's the sweet spot. Not overpowering, just enough to tell your melatonin, hey, showtime. Want a modern tip? You can place a drop of essential oil on a tissue and tuck it into your pillowcase, not on the fabric itself, in case your skin's fussy. Or dab a bit behind your ears, just enough to trail into your dreams. Because that's what scent does, it leads you somewhere. And maybe tonight, it leads you to a foggy pine forest where ancient monks sleep in silence, or a lavender field warmed by the setting sun. Or maybe just into your own breath, slowing and deepening, scented with calm. Whatever scent you choose, know this. Your melatonin is listening, and your sleep doesn't need perfection. Just a signal, just a softness, just a scent. Now we enter the softest part of the story, that final exhale, the threshold between awareness and the slippery slope into sleep. By now, melatonin has floated through your bloodstream, seeped into your cells, hummed through your skin, and perfumed the space around you. But there's one more place it whispers to, your inner clocks. Yes, plural. Because while most people think you have just one internal clock, the one that makes you sleepy at night and hungry at noon, the truth is, Chad, you're more like a galaxy of ticking timepieces, each organ keeping its own quiet rhythm. And melatonin? It's the conductor of this strange biological orchestra. You've probably heard the term circadian rhythm, your 24-hour light-based body schedule. But here's the dreamy twist. You also have ultradian rhythms, shorter cycles that manage things like focus and digestion, and infradian ones like menstrual cycles and seasonal shifts. Melatonin gently tunes them all, like a sleepy violinist waving her bow through fog. In 1729, French scientist Jean-Jacques Dortu de Meyron noticed that a plant kept in total darkness still opened and closed its leaves on schedule. Historians still argue whether this was the first true discovery of circadian rhythms, but the point holds. Life has its own pulse, even without sunlight. Now zoom inside your body. Your liver prefers to detox at night. Your gut bacteria change behavior when the lights go out. Even your endocrine system, responsible for hormones like cortisol, insulin, and estrogen, slows its roll in sync with melatonin's rise. This isn't just sleep, it's a full-body night mode. Melatonin doesn't do this alone, of course. It has partners. Adenosine, which builds pressure to sleep the longer you're awake. GABA, the chill-out neurotransmitter. Even temperature, which drops as melatonin climbs, nudging you towards stillness. But what's truly mesmerizing is that melatonin doesn't just respond to time, it teaches it. Shift workers, long-haul travelers, new parents, all of them wrestle with a kind of internal jet lag when melatonin goes off beat. And yet, with enough gentle cues, light, scent, food timing, it resynchronizes. Fringe tidbit? Some chronobiologists believe your organs can desync from each other. Like your kidneys might think it's 2 p.m., while your brain thinks it's midnight. They call it internal desynchrony, and it could explain everything from insomnia to anxiety. Melatonin, like a bedtime diplomat, works to bring all these internal nations back into peaceful agreement. This is where rituals matter. That glass of warm golden milk, the dimmed lights, the act of brushing your teeth slowly, even the part where you check your face in the mirror and think, not bad. These rituals aren't just habits, they're time signals. They tell your body, we're done now, let's go inside. In some coastal Filipino communities, There's a belief that sleep arrives best when you sleep where you were last happy. People carry old pillows or mats from room to room, chasing peace. What a poetic way to talk about circadian alignment, seeking the emotional geography of rest. And this part might surprise you. Melatonin doesn't knock you out. It just lowers the threshold, makes the noise quieter, smooths the edge. It's the backstage manager pulling curtains and dimming lights, not the actor delivering the soliloquy. Your real sleep? That's you. That's your brain waves slowing, your heart sinking with the rise and fall of your belly, your memories getting filed away like soft postcards from a waking life. So what now? You've tuned the vagus nerve. You've darkened the room. You've traced melatonin's story through pineal glimmers and gut dances and ancient scents. And now your clocks, all of them, are swaying together, just slightly out of sync, like paper lanterns in a summer breeze. And you're ready. Let the night wrap itself around you like a warm, whispered answer. Let the clocks tick where you can't hear them. Let your breath slow, your thoughts blur, and your body finally sink. Because now you've given melatonin everything it needed, and it's already given you back the gift of rest. So here we are, floating at the edge of sleep. There's no more to learn tonight, nothing to fix, no systems to optimize. Your body knows what to do. The clocks inside you are still ticking, quietly, softly, like waves brushing the edge of a distant island. Your breath is slower now, maybe deeper. Maybe it pauses in the middle like it's waiting for a dream to begin. Outside, the world hums on. Maybe there's a car in the distance, or the hush of a ceiling fan. Maybe the air is cool on your skin, or your blanket is just warm enough to forget it. You might think about something tomorrow, the pescawi, a message, a forgotten chore. That's fine. Let it drift in and let it float back out again. You're not in charge right now, melatonin is, and she's dimming the lights, one soft switch at a time. Your eyes are heavier, your limbs a little fuzzier, like they're not quite yours anymore. Just parts of a story that's ready to turn the page. So sleep now, not because you must, but because you may. You're safe, you're held, you're humming in tune.